What's going on, guys? It's Johnny, aka Tropical Fish Guy here. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. How much to feed your betta fish, okay? I get this question a lot and it's really not a very simple answer. It really depends on your betta fish, your food, what you're feeding them, how many, even the basic question, well, how many pellets do I feed them a day? How many flakes do I feed them a day? How many bloodworms do I feed them a day? So what we need to do is we need to find out first the maximum amount of food that the betta fish will eat in one sitting, and then not feed that maximum amount all at one time. So for example, if you're feeding your betta fish betta bites, right? Pellets, flakes, bloodworms, frozen, live, right? What you would do, and I'll show you here with my betta fish, is you would feed them, let's just say flakes, right? Let's just go with the flakes. So when I first started fish keeping many moons ago, I bought a betta fish. I was like, oh, these are cool. How much do I feed him? The guy at the pet store says, feed him a flake or two a day. Here. I was like, oh, okay. And he did pretty good for a while. About 6, 7, 8 months later, he died, okay? And I was thinking he was doing good, but he was on a gradual decline, and he started getting lethargic. Was it, parasite? Was it disease? But then I realized I wasn't feeding him enough, right? Wasn't feeding enough. So what we need to do is we need to find out the maximum amount of food that they'll eat in one sitting, not feed that much anymore, and just divide that out and feed them up to that point. You can feed them that point once a day. You can feed them a third of that 3 times a day, right? Or you can feed, a fifth of that 5 times a day. So if people say, well, you only feed your betta fish once a day, you only feed your betta fish twice a day, you only feed your betta fish, once every other day, right? So, and they say feed them 5 flakes a day, feed them 3 flakes a day. Now with this, my betta fish eats 15 flakes. And if you ever go to the pet store and you say, I feed my betta fish 15 flakes a day, they'd freak out on you. I mean, they think a flake is a flake, but not really. It depends on the size of the flake, the size of your betta fish, and how much that betta fish will eat, right? So the way to determine, okay, the $1 million question, well, how much can I feed him in one sitting? Okay, the way to determine this is to feed him about 1 flake. Let's just go with flakes. This applies to pellets. This applies to bloodworms, whatever. 1 piece, he eats it. Feed him another piece, he eats it. Feed him another piece, he eats it. Feed him another piece, he eats it. Do that until they start to lose interest, okay? By losing interest, they come up to it and they're like, well, I guess I'll eat it. And then they spit it out. That's the point where they lose interest, okay? So that's your measurement of the maximum food that they'll eat in one sitting, okay? And probably what I do is I take that and I split that up for as many times as I will feed them in that day. For example, like I just said, if he eats 15 flakes a day, I feed him 5 flakes a day, 3 times a day. Or if I just get back from work and he's hungry and I'm just feeding him once a day, I'll feed him 10 flakes a day, okay? So, number one, determine how many pieces of food he or she will eat in one sitting until they get disinterested, okay? And don't feed them that much food one time again until probably a few weeks later, because they usually grow. If you've got a baby, they'll eat more as the weeks get on, And you can just, feed them heavily. If you want to feed them heavily and make them grow more, feed them more. If you don't, if you want to feed them moderately like I do, feed them less. But identify the maximum amount to feed in one day, in one sitting. Okay, and let me show you that here. So if you have not met my betta fish Bandit, he is a male koi betta. It's really pretty. I will link up here in a card where I introduced you guys to the betta and showed you the cool 2-gallon acrylic tank that I use, and why I use the tank that I use instead of a roundy tank, and why it's okay to use a 2-gallon. A lot of people say you can't use a 2-gallon tank. It all depends on the size and the dimensions. Okay, betta fish like to move back and forth, but hey, anyway, that's a separate deal. But Bandit here, his name is Bandit because it looks like he's got a mask on his face. Very active. I've got another female koi betta over here. Her name is Ruby because she's ruby red. And you guys, one of you guys on my live stream suggested that name and I loved it, so her name's Ruby. That's awesome. But let's use Bandit as an example here. And let's use this omega-1 betta flakes. And I'll leave all this food in the description below as well. So as you get down to the bottom, like I said first, it depends on the size of the flake, right? At first, the flakes are bigger. But as you get to the bottom of the container, the flakes are a lot smaller. So, and then I've got my new bottle there once I'm done with this one. I try to use it all up. But let's look up here. Bandit is hungry. So I would feed him one flake, and I can't do this with one hand. Sorry guys. Let's see here. Pretend like this is one flake. Okay. I'll feed him one flake. He eats it. He eats it. He eats it. He eats it. And he'll keep eating it. So that was like 5 flakes, 6. Okay, he's looking for more. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Still looking. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So these flakes, obviously they're at the bottom of the barrel. 23, 24. Okay, they're the smaller flakes. Okay, so it all depends on the size as well. Same thing with pellets, same thing with brine shrimp, same thing with bloodworms. Where are we at? 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, sorry about the glare guys, 47, 48, 49, 50. Let's feed them some more. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Look at that, huh? You tell someone you feed your betta 59 flakes a day? Okay, oops, that's way too much. Finger slip. 60. Okay. Now, 61. 62. Okay. 63. 64. You're going to see him start slowing down. 60 something. 65. 66. Okay, it was eyeballing. He's like, I'm done. He kind of goes down right there. 66. 67, 68, 69. He sees those flakes up there. He's like, nope. 70. He spit it out. So once they start spitting it out, that's it. So we're going to say 70. Okay? You saw where he spit that out? Now you tell somebody, hey, I feed my betta fish 70 flakes a day. They're going to be like, dude, you're crazy. That's the maximum you want to feed them, okay? So you can take that 70, you can divide it into 3 chunks, you can divide it into 5 chunks, you can divide it into 10 chunks, right? You can, it's like you know, if you just graze every, hour or so, eating, a snack here and there, you can eat 10 times a day if you want to, 5 times a day, whatever, if you're just eating little bitty pieces. Or if you eat one big large meal, you eat a big old dinner, that's all you need all day, or a big old breakfast, whatever. I have just determined the maximum amount of food that I should feed him every day, okay? So at that point, you say, okay, and you can do the same thing with the pellets, you can do the same thing with the bug bites, and then you can split them up. You could say, 70 flakes, he eats 10 pellets maximum, he eats 40 bug bites maximum. You can split those into thirds and feed those. If you like to feed multiple types of food each time, you can feed those in thirds every day as well. So there you have it. That's how you determine how much your betta fish will eat. Now, that's how I determine my betta fish are healthy, doing well. That's how I've always figured it out, how much to do it. But like I said, if you talk to people on the internet, they'll be like, dude, no, man, you're overfeeding. You can overfeed your fish for sure, but I wouldn't feed the 70 in one time anymore, right? I would leave it at like maybe like 2/3 full, right? Because his belly's gonna be big, right, at 70. So I would feed him like 50. So, or, so I would say like 20 here, 20 here, 10 here, or something like that, split it up throughout the day. So you don't want a gorged betta fish. He's going to be gorged. When he's gorged, guess what? I'm not going to feed him tomorrow, right? So I normally don't do that, but this is my example of showing you how to find the maximum amount of food that they'll eat. Don't feed that every time. Don't feed the 70 flakes 3 times a day. But you could, if you want them to grow fast, you'd be cleaning a lot of tanks, you'd be doing a lot of water changes. But it's, it's not something that I do, but you could, right? And you don't feed them any more than that. So up to you, right? And if your betta fish swims down to the bottom after this and he's like, blah, I would never do that again, right? If he's like laying on his side and stuff, don't do that anymore, right? But he's doing good. You can see him, he's still swimming around. He's active, right? He's still looking alive. But at the point, you don't want to go to the point of where he's feeling very lethargic, very bad. So at the point where he starts spitting the food out, or that he goes up and he's like, no, disinterested, that's when you stop to find the maximum allowable food that they'll eat, right? And do that again next month. I'll do it again next month just to see if he's growing, right? As they grow, they'll eat more. So I'd feed, instead of, let's say I feed him 7 times, 10 flakes a day. Instead of that, I can test it if he eats 100 flakes, I'll be like, okay, well, now I can feed him more each time throughout the day, or maybe 70 flakes in one sitting as he grows up. So I hope that this gives you an idea of your particular circumstance on how much to feed your betta fish. This doesn't work with a lot of other fish, because like guppies, they can eat themselves and gorge themselves to death. I'd feed them differently, but that's a different video. But specifically for betta fish, I would use this method to find out. But leave me a comment in the description below how you determine how much you feed your betta fish. And if you think I'm crazy, if I told you, hey, yeah, I feed my betta fish 70 flakes a day, everybody would freak out, right? Nobody would say I knew what the heck I was talking about, right? Until you just saw my explanation until you saw the size of the flake, until you saw, you know, what condition my betta fish is, alive, doing well, healthy, that kind of thing. So I hope you find this helpful. I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, give me a like, comment below. Question of the day: how much do you feed your betta fish? And if you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, join the newsletter, tropicalfishguide.com/sign up to get other fascinating fish facts just like this, along with other tips, tricks, and cool other things. Definitely. And if you like betta fish shirts, check out my site at fishytees.net. I'll leave a link up here in the description below to help support this channel. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate you guys. Don't tell you enough. And happy fish keeping. Peace.